The screen fades in with soft, warm sunlight streaming through the window of a cozy, lived-in home. The faint melody of an acoustic piano carries a sense of serenity and comfort. On the floor, a charming little pug puppy rolls about, pawing at a colorful yarn ball. With large round eyes gleaming with curiosity and a small wrinkled face full of character, the puppy radiates sheer playfulness. Nearby, the puppy's mother, an older, dignified pug with a dusting of gray fur around her muzzle, gently tidies up the house. She wears a small scarf around her neck, and her movements, while steady, seem careful, as if she's hiding a tiredness beneath her calm demeanor. The morning routine unfolds. The puppy bounces around the room, tipping over a flower pot, and the mother immediately moves to clean up the mess, placing the flower back in its pot with quiet diligence. The puppy doesn't notice her efforts, too engrossed in its own fun. Breakfast arrives, a small bowl of food for the puppy and an older, chipped bowl for the mother. The mother nudges her own portion aside, leaving it uneaten as she watches the puppy chow down eagerly. Time passes. The everyday scenes of this tiny family continue. The puppy's mischief grows, playfully tugging at its mother's scarf, tipping over stacks of folded laundry, leaving muddy paw prints on the freshly cleaned floor. Each time, the mother cleans up without complaint, her love and patience unwavering, her exhaustion concealed behind her famous pug wrinkles. She dons her small scarf and an oversized straw hat, their worn textures hinting at years of use. The puppy, unaware of the mother's routine, barks cheerfully, thinking this might be playtime. But the mother gently nudges the puppy back inside with her paw, closing the door behind her. Curious, the puppy peers out through the crack in the curtains. Its large, inquisitive eyes watch as the mother trudges down the street, her steps slower than usual. The puppy tilts its head, puzzled but quickly distracted by a fly buzzing near the window. Soon, it leaps back into its playful rhythm, blissfully unaware of its mother's struggle. The day turns into evening, the golden light melting into a soft twilight. The door creaks open, and the mother returns, carrying a bag almost twice her size. Her movements are slow now, her breathing faintly labored. The puppy bounds over in excitement, wagging its curly tail furiously. But as it leaps at the bag, hoping for treats or toys, the mother stumbles ever so slightly. She steadies herself, setting the bag down before slumping into her cushion for a brief rest. The puppy sniffs the bag and yips in delight, digging out a small toy bone that its mother had clearly purchased for it. Oblivious to her exhaustion, the puppy happily rolls onto its back, playing with the new treasure late into the night. The mother seems slower, her movements more deliberate. She winces slightly as she picks up the spilled yarn from the day before. The puppy doesn't notice. Its world is still one of carefree joy. That night, as the puppy curls into a ball, dreaming of adventures, the mother labors quietly to tuck a warm blanket around it, her tired eyes filled with nothing but love. Act 2 begins with a sudden burst of selfishness. The playful, mischievous puppy emerges in full force. It knocks over its water dish, pouts when breakfast is late, and growls when the mother tries to correct it. One morning, as the mother prepares to leave for errands, the puppy barks loudly in defiance, grabbing hold of her scarf with its little teeth. The tug-of-war leaves the scarf torn, and the mother's straw hat tumbles to the ground, dented and misshapen. For the first time, her eyes reveal a twinge of sadness, but not anger. She gently picks up her belongings, ties her scarf into a makeshift bow to hide the tear, and exits, leaving the puppy behind. Alone in the house, the puppy feels triumphant at first. It explores the confines of its home, nosing into boxes and sniffing every corner. But as the hours drag on, an uneasy quiet begins to settle. The rays of the sun streak in, marking the passage of time. Shadows grow longer. The once playful atmosphere feels heavier. The puppy begins to notice small details: a patch on its bed, clearly mended with care, and its bowl filled with food, while a second, smaller bowl sits empty. The neglected toy bone lies near the door. The puppy's head tilts in confusion, its wide eyes unsure of the emotions stirring within. The door creaks open, and the mother enters again, her scarf damp, her hat leaking trails of water. She looks weary, but doesn't let it show for long. As the puppy bounds toward her, she draws a soft smile, setting down her bag as if nothing were wrong. But then, the puppy sees it, her limp. It's almost imperceptible, but the puppy catches it this time. It watches as the mother carefully folds her scarf, then moves to fix the dent in her hat. A flicker of realization crosses the puppy's face. Later that night, as the mother sleeps soundly, the puppy stirs in its bed. For the first time, it steps carefully across the room, glancing at its mother with concern. It notices, tucked beneath her paw, the torn scarf resting on the straw hat. The mother stirs slightly, shifting, but doesn't wake. The puppy gazes at her, its round eyes misty with newfound understanding. The mother wakes to find the puppy gone. Panic flashes through her face for a split second, only to be replaced by surprise when the door nudges open. The puppy stumbles back inside, clutching something in its tiny mouth. Its paws are muddy, its energy slightly drained, but it looks triumphant. Around its neck hangs a freshly plucked flower, a replacement for the pot it had knocked over long ago. And in its mouth, a tiny scrap of cloth it found by the nearby sewing shop, a bold attempt at patching her scarf. Mother and puppy lock eyes, and for a moment neither moves. Then, with a rush of emotion, the mother lowers herself and nuzzles the puppy. Her expression shifts from surprise to overwhelming pride and love. The puppy playfully bats at her nose, this time not out of selfishness, but from true affection. The final scene fades out with a warm light enveloping the room. The patched scarf rests neatly on the counter alongside the flower in its cleaned pot. The puppy and mother curl up together under the soft glow, the tiny family finally whole in a way words could never capture.